Okay, so welcome to the Monday Night Tactical of the first place Delaware River Valley Conference of the EPSL, Kensington Soccer Club. So um, we are first going to talk about the game last night against Inter New Jersey. And the first thing I want to say, if you can see it on the screen, was that the man marking was very good. It's just keeps getting better every game. But I want to bring up that at the beginning of the game, and this ties into what Marcella said before we started recording. Beginning of the game, Inter was pinging the ball around on us a little bit, and that's because we are failing to capitalize on the tap off. Like before the game starts, everybody should already know who their mark is. Teams tend to, and let's look at the tactical board. That's probably a bad tactical board to look at. But I can just say it simply. Teams tend to set up in their how they would tap off. I mean, what their formation is. I don't think I have to tap off here, do I? Doesn't matter. So, like right off the get go, if this were a tap, they'll usually be set up like this, right? We need to take advantage of the 9 will probably take the tap. You guys got to, if we call out the marks right away, this is going to be like just make our job easy. So let's actually do a tap and let's practice it actually. So this would be a typical tap off, right? Sometimes the 10 goes even with them. So like right from the get go, let's tell me who's marking who, right? Like who's supposed to go to who? Like let's start with I'll ask the question and you guys answer. Who should Andy in this situation go right to?
Number two,
correct. Like right to him. And you're going to see that in a second. You're going to actually pass by the ball in doing this sometimes. What I say to do is I'll show you in a second when one of let's get Gian out of there. Let's get Nas out of there. So where should so we took out Andy's going to go to the 2 on the tap, right? And then where should Gian go to?
between the 5 and the 4.
Right away. Now what he'll do is if the ball is played back to the 6, he can give what I call token resistance, which means he can get burned here. So like Gian can literally run right at the 6. And this is one time when we don't care if he gets beat. Just run right at him because you don't really care because the next wave is coming. Nas is following behind you. So what's Nas going to do? Right, so I'll play the ball back. And now you guys move, actually. So Gian would go. Right, you guys start moving the pieces. Go ahead. Ball got played to the 6. Move the pieces. I'm going to let you guys start to move them now. No one's in the... Oh, shoot. Never mind. I'm in the wrong one. Okay. So, yeah, let's practice it once. Because this kind of will get us off on the right foot. So I'm going to set them up, and then we're just going to have a tap off, and you guys move right away. Just to show you that it's not that hard. So get ready to control the pieces, please. Move them all back for a tap off. Please help me move them back for a tap off. I'll move black, you guys move blue, like usual. Let's practice this, because this is going to get us off the right foot, tying into what Marcelo said, where teams are getting off to a quick start on us sometimes. And they are a good team. Shows that if you don't know what you're doing, these teams can really be effective against you. So let's say they're set up like this. Okay. Ball is played back to their 6. Go. Gian provides token resistance against the 6. Nas goes immediately. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. This is going to pin them in right from the get-go. So instead of pinging, it's in a big bag. Instead of pinging the ball around on us like they did, we'll put immediate pressure on them. And then it'll look like the rest of the game looked last night, where we pretty much were on them for the most part. Yeah, Asher's going to take out the 10, and the 6 would take out the 10, 5 would take out the 9. That's it. And this is going to tie into later how we're going to handle all the special kicks, all the free kicks, corner kicks, etc. So that we don't have guys wide open, completely unmarked. Okay, so if we can start doing this on the tap, I kind of yell it out before the game, usually like right before their tap off, I usually remind you guys that I haven't really gone over it in tactical yet. And hold on a second. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so yeah, I usually yell it out. Now we know to do this right away. Okay, so good enough. All right, so I think we got that part. So the opposition 6-8, I mentioned, they may be the hardest ones to figure out. But as long as, and that's over here, the opposition 6-8, sometimes are harder. The 10's usually a little higher to start off with. So just call it out. And then if you're wrong, like if it happens to be Luke and Nas playing the 8 and 10, whoever it is, call it out ahead of time. And if you screw up, so what? Then Luke's the 10 for a second and Nas the 8. And then these guys just switch off after a second. You know what I mean? You go, okay, we're wrong because you want Nas higher up the pitch. So you switch off guys. You want Luke further back. All right? Okay, you got 2. Here. Okay, stop interrupting me. All right, so I hope that makes sense. And sorry about the interruptions. Now, I'm going to mention continue to follow your mark strong when they check into the ball. So we were very good. I mean, Hamza did it so many times. We talked about it with him before the game. We talk about it in tacticals all the time, that when we do our press correctly, right? Hold on, I lost the connection. Okay. So when we do our press correctly, and Gion's pressing here, and he did a great job of it, this player either bombs the ball deep or he looks to play to feet. And usually the opposition winger will try to check into the ball. And if you don't follow him, well, then it's too easy, right? It's too easy. He just gets turned, right? Okay. He just gets turned and it's over. So last night, Hamza, Wilson did his job over here, making sure that that was never an option. So they were always trying to play. And Nas and Luke took out the 8 and 10 pretty much the entire time on the press. And then the only option was this one to that fast winger. And he kept trying to switch sides to get away from us. He would check in and try to receive, but he would find that he couldn't turn. There was a guy on him. Okay? That was beautiful. So let's keep not critiquing it, saying we got to continue to do that. Like, that's what the great thing about a man marking scheme is. It's not just man marking. It's like you would do this in a zone. You would do this in a zone. You wouldn't just allow this player to receive, right? Someone would step to him. So the man marking just makes it clear that it's your job. It's almost like training wheels to a certain extent. Like, yeah, you have to follow that guy in. And get, so let's continue to do that. Okay. Moving on. When a player is turned, we need to calm down. Let me pull this over here and so you can see the board. When a player does get turned, let's say Luke lets this guy get turned. We'll pick on Luke. This player gets turned, right? Now we need to settle down, right? I wrote when I was watching the thing, when a player's turned, we need to calm down and just get goal side, give space instead of rushing in. Instead of rushing in, just simply look behind you. Because you don't just look behind you and see if you can take away any lanes. Right? No lane to take away, just contain. All right. You want to prevent any more forward progress. If you get too close, you run the risk of this player, which happened multiple times last game, and then we started to stop it. This player now beats you. And what we call it, in sports, turns the corner on you. And now we're a man down. Now our whole defensive structure has fallen apart, right? Now we end up doing something even dumber, or just as dumb. We try to do what? We try to make up for the mistake. Like, let's say Luke was even back here and he tries to make it, but if you're here, we try to come from the side. And then that makes it worse because now he steps forward and now you're beat again. So, and Luke wasn't the only one that did this. We need to fix that. We just contain everybody. You slow this guy down by containing, and then everyone, let's say, if you do that, you stop his dribble, he now has to look up. And if he's not a quick thinker, he's going to take a moment. And that might give Josh a chance to do what? If Josh didn't have his mark, it might actually give Josh a chance to come up. And now we have everybody marked, and this guy's dead in the water because what do I always tell you guys about playing too slow? You hold on to the ball too long, and what does it give the defense a chance to do? Let's say it looked like this. And this guy plays too slow. It gives the defense a chance to do what? Get organized. And then the drive is over, right? So let's slow down on dive. You've heard it in soccer. We say don't dive in, right? Don't lunge. It's all the same thing. Just contain. There's a time to lunge when you're trying to avoid a shot. When maybe they're on a sideline and you're like, Wilson could do it. Like if this player is turned around, he could come in maybe aggressively. But even there, you might say, let's pin him in. You got to kind of pick and choose your spots to dive in, to go for a play. Midfield is usually not one of them. Okay. And even here is not one of them. Unless we see he's completely pinned, like everybody's coming on the guy. We got multiple players coming. Okay, well now it's safe. Now Wilson could go for a tackle to try to win the ball because he's got Gian with him. But if he goes in by himself, when no one's around and he gets burnt, and then the ball is okay. So let's slow down there. All right, I hope I made that clear. What's this guy saying? Okay, we'll talk to him later. Okay, next topic. I'll let you see it first. Okay, special kicks. This is what Marcelo was talking about. So on special kicks, we're going to start off with marking your player to keep it simple. And I know, if Luke ends up in the next game, it's fine. Let him mark his guy. Like I know I try to put Luke up top sometimes because he's smaller, but he's usually marking. He'll usually be in the midfield anyway. He'll be marking someone small if he plays again. So just stay with your mark. Now, there are times when that could get messed up, and I'll give you an example. So let's say the opposition has a free kick. So I'm going from here. Okay. So I'm going to set them up, and then you guys mark. Okay. Ready? At first, we'll make it simple. You got to start marking right away. Start marking. Anybody there? Anybody hear me?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Start marking. Who's controlling the guys? I got Henrik. I got Ali. I got who else? Marcelo, Luke, Anise. Now, so who's the free guy? Why is Asher free? That's already wrong. That's not what I want. I want everybody to mark their guy because this is the easy one. Can't mess up the easy one. I'm gonna give you a harder one in a second. This was the easy one. The 4 is the
Do we have a
free man.
wall? Do we have a wall?
No, because we have to mark up and keep a free man. This is why we're getting scored on. One man in a wall on the ball striker will suffice. I think that's not been the problem. They haven't been shooting the ball in. We have very good goalies.
From this angle, you mean? Like if it's on the side, we only need one.
Yeah. If it's close, you're gonna have to build a wall, but your wall is I mean you can just pull Gian out. So if you see there's a wall, no, see this is wrong. Okay, so why is Asher covering the 5?
So I got confused with the goalie.
Yeah, there should be one man at the top, and then
This is all messed up, guys, and this is why we're getting scored on.
yeah.
So we can't even do it on attack. So what's that?
I think it's fine now.
No, Nas is covering the 10.
Yeah.
Like, and this is why we're getting screwed up. Like, what I was getting at is to make Marcelo's job or whoever the free man is, everybody take your man, and then Marcelo can figure out, because I didn't even give you the hard one yet, where a center back comes in, which is going to throw you for a loop, and we're fucking up the easy one. So, like, it should be this, guys. All right, and then, right? And then where's their 6 at? So Luke's on the wrong player. I mean, everybody's wrong here. This is totally fucked up. Okay. Now it's better, right? I mean, this is literally the easiest thing to do. And then Marcelo is free to figure out what the fuck is wrong. You understand? He shouldn't be marking anybody. Like we're gonna just run our system. Yes, there's a weakness where we may only have one guy in the wall when it's on the side like that. Later, we'll have 2 in the wall. We'll just, if you really feel like you need to build a wall, so this is, if you really feel like you need to build a wall, then guess what? If it's here, then just pull Gian into the wall because his guys are up there. Okay? But you can't leave guys unmarked. And then, so everybody's got to get their man, and then let Marcelo call the rest of it out, or whoever the free man is.
I gotta say something. In case of like defending set pieces like this, you gotta put a body on the body, and then what I mean by that, the tall guy could have been the tall guy, the small guy could have been a small guy, because Gian staying up all the way up, I don't like that, because Gian is.
No, I don't disagree with that, but
yeah.
What we've been having problems with is we've had guys completely goddamn unmarked. So if we want to call Gian in, right, then if Gion's the striker, right, and this is why I said this, and Luke knows this, and I can't repeat it every game, then them two so we got to know, and this is probably my fault too, that going in, then Gian and Luke always switch if Luke's in the game, or you know what I mean, like, or Gion's got to have a designated player to switch with.
Yeah, if I'm in there, I'll have a Gian back. I'll push Luke up there. Luke, you gotta go all the way like on the side, because if I hit the ball and then the goal there, we can turn that in the counterattack against them.
Now, one of our problems is we are too slow to get set up, because let me ask you a question. Do we argue with the referee? Like, this would have been a foul by us, right? So what are we spending our time doing, do you think, that we shouldn't be doing after they call a penalty on us? What are we doing?
Bitching.
We're bitching. And what should we be doing?
Listening to Thorn.
What's that? Listening to
Listening to
Get
Thorn.
everything- Yeah, and get everything fucking marked up. So that needs to happen like immediately. Like, and then you can do what Condi's saying, which is it's actually not that hard to just get everybody
Yeah.
marked up. Like
Absolutely
what I'm
not.
saying is immediately get your guy, because that's who you're already closest to, and then let Thorn and the free man start to switch it if they don't like what they see. Because you
Yeah.
usually have about at least 30 seconds. But if you're
Guys.
like dicking around, hold on, let me finish. If you're dicking
Okay.
around and you're like arguing with the ref and your guy is just wandering around, like let's say Asher's dicking around and he's arguing with the ref over here, right? There's the ref and he's yelling at the ref, right? And his guy's free. Well, now we don't even know who's supposed to be marking this guy. And we can't even set up. And then it's all confusing. So immediately get your man and then let starting with Thorns in charge first and then all the way down the line to the free man, okay, the center back. And then because literally the last game, I think it was the game we just played. The guy was completely fucking unmarked. We should have had a shutout, right? Everybody agree with that? Nobody on him.
It wasn't one person. It was three people. They were wide
Three
open
people unmarked.
on
Yeah.
the back post. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I actually don't think it's that hard. I think there's just confusion. Let it be known. Let's start with everybody get their man right away. And then Marcelo's played the game long enough, and Thorne's played the game long enough. And if Condi's back there, they're going to tell you to switch, and then you just switch right away. But we can't switch. What I'm getting at is we can't switch people if they're on nobody. Like you got to get somebody, and then we'll be like, oh shit, Asher's small. Why the fuck's he on the tall guy? You two switch. Takes 2 seconds to switch a guy. Everybody's crowded in the box anyway. It doesn't take long to switch in that scenario.
And then you already know, like for the next free kick, you already know that you're just going to take the guy you took last time.
Right. So that's a good point. Once we have one free kick, you stick with them. And here's the thing: this isn't Casa, so there's not constantly guys switching on and off the field. So like once who plays Casa, our man marking system as well, right? I think Luke does. And is anybody else here? I think that's it. Gian.
Yeah, I play Casa. Don't compare Casa to this thing.
No. What I'm saying is, what I'm getting at is Kensington's Casa teams, right? We also play man marking. And I was about to ask the guys that have played EPSL for Kensington and Casa for Kensington, and I'm gonna actually ask them which one's harder to man marking. Like, yeah, the players are worse in Casa, but it's actually harder to man mark, right?
No.
Okay.
No, just the one part is harder where they can make subs and stuff and change players. But
that's what I meant.
Yeah, but that's a stretch though. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it should be.
What coach say, right? Like if we are slow marking, that can't like a good team will punish us like doing that. Like a good team will like actually like capitalize. I've seen this so many times, like where you get caught up, the ref call the ball, and then the players just my teammates just turn around trying to figure out exactly what's in it. The guy just put it under the ball and then play. Just right there, like just caught us sleeping, and then it's just a goal against us. Like, and then everybody like, what the fuck just happened? Well, you all was sleeping because you forgot you was bitching about the ref, the foul that was called, and then you just forgot your man, and they just play fastball, and then it just cost us a goal. Like I seen this so many times happening. I don't know if anybody here remember, it was same thing happened to Tottenham. Tottenham just scored out in the Champions League. Like the team, just the ball went out, the ball boys just give the ball to ODA and then they just play fast like that. It just go like that. Like the ref will never say go back. It's just
why, I'm really old. So I've played a lot of sports in my day, and nothing aggravated me more probably in all my years of playing sports than people bitching at the refs while I'm playing on my team. Because they're always worried about the last play, and then those same players always fuck up the next play. And because they're never ready, like Condi's saying, they're preoccupied with other shit. And you got to move on to the next play in sports, like right away. You got to forget it. Now we can analyze it later, right? we can coldly analyze stuff the next day. But when
Absolutely.
you're in the battle, man, you gotta be ready for the next play.
Right. Guys,
All right.
I don't know if ask Marcelo, some of you guys play with me sometime you fucked up the ball and you yelling at me, forget about it, just play on. It's just the game. It's like 90 minutes, one mistake, two mistake. You don't have to be stuck on it. I've seen my teammate, they miss the ball or they misplaced the pass. They just stop. That 1 second you stop and it's just like a negative impact on your team. Just forget about it. You mess it up, just let it go, get behind the ball and then play on. It can be
And I'll say,
the only mistake.
and I'll say another thing. If someone does critique you during the game, like, and you don't like it, just fucking let it go, man. Like, the worst thing you can do is like argue back. Now we wasted time with the critique, and now we're wasting time with the fucking response, right? Like, just fucking move on. You know what I mean? Like, either if someone says something to you, either, you know, take heed of it, that it was good advice, or just fucking ignore it if it was bad advice, and just fucking move on. Like, we're gonna say a lot of shit during the game. We're gonna yell out a lot of stuff. Some of it's gonna be right, some of it's gonna be wrong. I'm gonna say a lot of shit. Some of it's gonna be right, some of it's gonna be wrong. Like, you have in sports, you got to make split-second decisions, and just you got to trust your instincts, but you got to move on. Okay, we can't. You know, it's gotten better. We had a lot of pouty people earlier in the season. I think people are growing up a little bit and realizing this is a big boy league, and that you just got to move on. And so I think we are moving forward with that. Let me move up to the next points. I think we got this down now. Get your mark right away. The goalie's in charge, followed by the free man. Okay, everybody understand that to get all the marks out. You just do whatever the fuck they tell you, like no questions asked. Okay. Because they don't have time to argue with you, right? Just so we establish that protocol. The goalie's in charge, then the center backs, then the six. Everybody got that? There's no questions asked. Like, come to me later and complain about it. But you got to do what they say if they're behind you. Okay. So next order of business, real quick. We have just a couple things left. As I said, the marking has been fantastic. So let's quickly show. Oh, this would be a good time to show on marking, right? So let's say we receive the ball here, and with enough time and space, right? This would be a perfect example. This is an extreme example. The marking has been great. I need you guys to understand this, that our system of man marking, and you saw it in the game, we were on their asses the whole game. Like, I watched the tape. Oh my God. We were giving them we barely gave them a moment to breathe. We were always contesting every ball. Everybody was, for the most part, was covered. Sometimes we were overly aggressive. I told you that those just have your guy, but contain. But we were on them. But what does that mean? I need you to understand something. That it actually can hurt our offense if you don't know how to unmark. So because you're marking so tight, it's not like other systems you've played where you might accidentally be uncovered during offensive transition. If you're a really good defender in our system, and to be on the EPSL starting lineup, you're going to be, or you probably won't be last that long. You're going to be always near your opponent when we win the ball. So I need you to think about this logically. So what does that require you to do? Can you stay where you are, or do you have to unmark what I call aggressively and intelligently? No one's going to answer. You're going to have to unmark aggressively and intelligently. Aggressively means fast, okay? For the most part. Sometimes you can be subtle about it, but a lot of times it just means speed. You got to, sort of like an NFL receiver running a route. Like, you have to explode out of there, right? Because you're so close to the guy that to get that separation, you got to move, right? So like right here, Jake would have to explode off of this guy. He can't just check right to here, or Marcel's not going to want to play that ball. He has to explode over into the corner, right? Andy has to explode out into the space. He can't just jog He's got to explode out into the space. So we need to unmark aggressively. Get away from our mark. You cannot be like just lazily go, okay, we got the ball now, and you're just going here, here, here. You can't say here. If Andy's yelling here, 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 he just got done covering somebody. He's not open, right? He's gonna get he's closed down already. He can yell. He should run, hand up, yelling here, and then we can play to him. And I'll tell you, if you want, go back and watch the tape, and Luke was making those runs. Like I'll tell you, Luke made a lot of. He probably the worst I've seen him pass in his entire life. So I know he'll always be better than that. So, but his runs were the best we've had. His runs were amazing. He was constantly. We got our first goal because of one of his runs. You have to unmark, guys. And then, yeah, it's going to be, if we do lose the ball, now Andy might have to be be adaptable, right? Or if Gian went out and then Andy went out here and we did lose the ball, what does Andy have to do? He's got to hustle back, right? Hustle back, cover his guy. It requires a lot of running. We're going to make subs Friday night. I'm hoping to have a deep bench. Run your ass off. Unmark, mark. You heard me saying it at the games. I call it unmark, mark. The whole game is unmark, mark. And it's going to make you better players. When you go on somewhere else maybe and you play a different system, you still have to mark and unmark, even if you're in a zone. It's going to become so natural to you because you're going to do it every time that you're going to be, when you play a zone, you're going to think it's like a joke how easy it is. This is probably getting easy for some of you. Now, let me give you an extra tip, not just to be like super aggressive. Of course, I want you to do that and do it with authority and fast. But also, let me ask you a question. Should Andy already be thinking about where he's going to make his run? Right? Let's say they have the ball here like this. This is a really bad setup, right? But can Andy already, let's say this is not even a free kick anymore, right? So this guy just has the ball here. So what would happen? He's going to check out, right? Come on him. Andy has his guy. Let's actually set it up normal. We're going to over here. Okay. So I'm gonna put a thought in your head. You guys are gonna mark up. Okay. Everybody mark up. Go ahead. Everybody mark up. They have the ball. And the thought I want you to have in your head is, after we mark up, first mark up, please. Oops, sorry, Marcelo. And this is going to be very important if you want to be extremely advanced. Okay. Now, what I need you to start doing is, you good? Got to get Gavin back there. Get Gavin goal side. And Gian should be where, guys? That's a bad angle. Where should Gian be? He should be bubbled out this way. Because his run, remember the run should be like a curved and go towards the goalie, not in a straight line. So if this is the straight line, Gian should be off the line so that he can run at the guy from behind. Okay? And we want the guy to step forward. If he comes at a direct line, the guy, center backs love to do that little pullback. Right? And then he can play it back here. So like we want him to go forward and then chase him. And then their center back just step forward, but Gian has to keep chasing him. And now look. Gian's on him. Everybody stays on their mark. And look at all the space that just opened up. That's why I needed my 9 to keep following. That's why I have Gian there. That's why we had one of our best games. consistent games throughout because Gian did his job at the 9. And anybody wants to play the 9, you got to do the same thing. You got to learn to play it defensively. So look at the space. And this brings me to my point. Once you guys are getting good at marking, it's kind of easy, right? You kind of know who you have. Start to think about how long before we get the ball back, usually when you're marking. How long does it take for us to get the ball back? Not
Like
many
10,
seconds. How long?
like 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
Yeah, tops, right?
Yeah.
So to be an advanced player, to be a great player, think about where you're going to unmark because you know we're getting the ball. If everybody does their job, you know you're getting the ball. So Wilson should already be thinking about what he's going to do. Even if he's helping the press, he should be thinking, oh my God. And then if I'm either going to look to play into this space or run into this space, start to think ahead. Okay. You know, Josh could be thinking, all right, I got my mark, but if we win the ball, I'm going to, you know, go into this space, or, you know, Marcelo's gonna be thinking go into this space. And if Marcelo goes into this space, then Josh will be like, okay, shit, I'll run up here. You know what I mean? Into this space. All right. So soccer is a game where, just like chess, if you can think ahead, you have an advantage over your opponent. Because your opponents as you get up higher levels in the game, yes, your opponents are also thinking ahead. But you'll have an advantage over the lower level players for sure if you think ahead. You're always going to have an advantage over them. So start to think ahead of where you're going to unmark yourself. Okay? Think about where you're going to play the ball if we win it. Start to think ahead to the counterattack before it happens, and then you'll act quicker. And you'll always be able to take advantage of your opponent. Does that make sense? And that goes for every position on the pitch. Start to think ahead while you're marking. Now that you guys are getting really, you guys are getting so. It was a thing of beauty watching you guys mark up, and it's only going to continue to get better. The pressing. Okay, so now final thing that I wanted to cover. If a winger gets beat, this is not okay. You heard me yelling this last game. So let's say we were just a little slow to react and the ball got played down. Okay? You can press this through a cover shadow. So you can go and help. What we want is we want Josh here to dive in or to contain. If he has no immediate help, he should contain. So where can we put a timer on this guy? Come in and press him. Squeeze, as Thorne will say, squeeze him, right? Because you know, your guy's not dangerous, and you can also put a cover shadow on, right? And now you're making Josh's job easier. And if your guy follows you, you'll hear me say, you know, what I like to say is now the 10 should look to do what? If we win the ball. Or the 9 should look to exploit that space, right? That's vacated by their 2. So this is, you know, you'll start to get used to these patterns of play if we all follow a pattern. Like, yeah, Wilson should help out here, right? He's going to help out. And if his guy doesn't follow him, guess what? No problem. Now we have a 2v1 defensively. And if we do win the ball, Wilson can simply unmark, and now he's in space. He can now play forward or drive into the open space, right? So let's keep that in mind, that we're going to help from behind, guys. You can press from behind, all right? If you're tired, I get it. You might not be able to do it, but like, you definitely need to look to do that, to press from behind. Same thing here. Asher's containing. Naj should look to do what? Press from behind to help out. You see it? Okay, maybe Luke should hold because he wants to be careful. If Luke comes in, he might get beat here, right? Or if he comes in this way, he could get beat here. So Luke could hold, but Naz could press, right? So let's look to press from behind, which brings me, so always look to press from behind the ball, which ties into how do we handle getting beat. And I need everyone to understand this. The way we handle getting beat is if Nas gets beat, okay, let's say Nas fucked up and he started staring at the ball as this guy's running, and this guy plants his foot and passes here, right? And Nas was running out. How do we handle this? Anybody have an idea? Does anybody remember what I said? You get it in your voice, or if not, I'll say it.
Wait, can you repeat the question again?
How do we handle the 6 right now? Who steps to him? Do we yell at Asher and Luke to step, or do we handle it a different way?
Nas. Nas. Yep.
Always from what we call behind the ball. We're in a good defensive shape right now. Don't want to vacate it, right? Like, it's not Marcelo running out. You don't want to do this either. We don't want to do this. Why? Why do we not want to do that? What did we just lose there?
Our numbers up at the back.
We lost our numbers up.
Our free man.
We lost our numbers up. Exactly. We do not want to do that. We will not get scored on an open play. Soon, I don't even want to be letting up fucking shots, let alone goals. We keep that +1 at the back. Yeah, okay.
Do we just let the 6 dribble? Like that's
you
when it
have
feels
to.
weird.
You have to. Here's what it's called. You're going to retract and defend the 18. You're just going to retract and defend the 18. It's totally fine. It's very similar to what any zone would do when it's breached. You retract, you condense. So like any zone, an Italian style zone, a let it go zone, you can name any goddamn zone. When the zone gets breached, everybody contracts and defends the 18. You get compact, you defend the middle, you defend the 18, you hold at the 18 until the help arrives, and then you can start to press out again. So we don't do any, like, our system is basically the principles of play of defense. We just like boil them down to like, so this is when you're breached like this and we're a man down, we don't step out. Like, what's the rule? Do you ever step in any soccer system? Do you generally step into a 2v1? That's what Luke would be doing right here, right? You ever hear in soccer, you don't step into a 2v1, right? So if Luke were to come out here, what would he be doing? Stepping into what?
A 2v1.
He's stepping into a 2v1. You're breaking a principle of play. Do not step into a 2v1 in that situation, right? Because all it takes is the old 1-2 here. And it's even worse when it does, and then he can go and then it gets back into the middle. I mean, it's just a disaster, right? So what we do is, we hold. If he starts to dribble forward, okay, we just back off. We back up, keeping our guy in line, right? Keep your guy in line. I'm going to show you something. Keep a safe distance from your guy. And if something like this happens, yikes. This guy dribbles and the 8 drops. Well, now what can Luke do? Get goal side. Because now Luke's still, in a 2v1, you just get goal side of the furthest guy. And you let the other guy be. So Luke himself could take care of it while Nas the whole time was running, and now Nas could probably get back, and now Nas has the 8 and everything stopped. But everybody else should be doing what at that time? Well, that was happening. And everyone else is making runs. Everybody else should just go back. Don't go back further than the 18. We hold at the 18, just like in any zone. You guys have all played zones before. You hold the 18-yard line and defend it. Okay? And you're basically setting up an impromptu zone. You're just setting up a zone on the fly. That's it. So that's how we handle getting breached. So we're going to add that to our game now, that we all understand to not step into that trouble, just hold. And it goes back to me saying, like, I don't even want us diving in when we're not numbers down, right? So we definitely don't want to dive in when we're breached and we're not, we are numbers down. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
So what if how were they before? Nas was
I
up
can get- I get-
here. Luke
I
had
get
the
it.
8, the 6 was dribbling up. So what if then
Not that
like,
deep.
yeah, what if the 6 is dribbling up and then these guys try to drag us out with like a smart run? Like this guy comes here or something. Luke wants to follow. Should he still vacate this space where this guy's just driving towards goal?
So what you do is, let me show you. This is when you step inside of your man. Okay, there's multiple ways to defend in man-to-man. You can shade towards one side or the other. So let me show you what you have to do. So let's take the example. Like Luke gets drug out, but Luke should go here and hold inside. Okay, this guy goes out. Asher should hold inside. Marcelo's still the free man. Okay. If Gavin's guy goes out, he should stay goal side here. So look at this. Even if this guy comes forward now, right, into this space, at a certain point, we can now step to him, right? Because this guy's kind of like out wide a little bit. We can start to step and contain him. And if the ball gets sent out, yeah, then maybe he slides over until we're trying to delay. So we retract and delay. By the time all that happens, as long as Nas has been hustling his ass off, we're back in shape again. You just have to, you should only have to do that for a very limited amount of time. Of course, if we have to do it for a long period of time, yeah, we're going to get scored on over time. Why? It's just shitty defense, right? Like we got to recover, right? Does that make, like, you got to recover. So we just need you guys to hold it off long enough till the recovery comes back. And the recovery comes back from behind the ball. If Nas was way out of position, if Nas was like way out of position, then Andy has to go and help. You know what I mean? And then Gian will realize that and yell, yo, Nas, you're the 9. And then while that's all happening, okay, fix yourself at the top. You know what I mean? So instead of Nas running all the way over here, like fix it. Get ready for the counter, right? So that's going to make us all better players if we can do all that. Does that make a little sense? A lot of sense?
Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
more sense.
And look, just like any of these concepts, it takes time to start to, the tactical alone is not going to make you do it, but the tactical will put it in your head. And then you'll be like, oh shit, like I could have done that just there. Shit, I'm going to do that next time. You know what I mean? And it will happen, but you do need to get to practice and try to practice. And if you can't get to practice because you work a lot, well then you can try it in games. All right. So you just do what you got, within your own personal situation, you do what you have to do, whether it's, if you can only play games, you don't have time to practice, then no worries. Then try to accomplish it in games. Or another way to do it is do visualization, like visualize the situation. Athletes have been doing that for a long time. You visualize the situation, and it's very similar to practicing. And that sounds crazy, but it's been proven scientifically that if you visualize you performing something, visualize the tactic of like, oh, we're a man, I'm looking back and I see that there's an open guy dribbling, and I got to decide, oh shit, I can help out. You know what I mean? And you'll become a better defender. Like who should help here? Everybody's covered. Someone's got to step. Visualize you yelling like, well, should be Wilson here probably, right? Wilson looks the closest actually. Go Wilson, go. And then Wilson leaves and everybody else does what? Just shifts over one. Okay. While Asher and Luke, as we noticed, get inside and almost form a little zone, right? Isn't this like a little mini zone? They form a little zone, which everyone's played a zone. We just form a little zone. We just, instead of playing the guy straight on, like we do a lot when we're set and leaving this big gap, just come in a little. But still let everybody know, I got 10. Luke will be like, I got him over here. I got my right. I got the guy on the left. And be ready to step to him if Wilson doesn't get there. You know what I mean? And then be ready to, collapse on him. Just be careful that he doesn't 1-2 you here. You know what I mean? So you're going to keep retracting. You still don't want to step into it till he gets here and he gets close and you're still holding. And then at a certain point, you can step. You know what I mean? And then he might, if he swings it over here, you should still have time to retract and then cover him, like we said, okay? And then Luke can shade over at that point and leave him open. But again, by that point, shouldn't Wilson be back? Yes. And Wilson should find the open man. Okay? So this is just being a good defender. You got to kind of make an impromptu zone, get it set up, and get inside. I used to describe it as I would say, get inside of your man. You know what I mean? Get inside of your man is the way we call it when we used to have this when we first started running man-to-man. We used to get breached a lot because guys were just fucking had no clue what to do. So we'd always have to, we made this the standard to get like inside of your man. But now we don't have to do it as much because you guys don't get breached as much. So we actually stand them straight up a lot. So it is 9 o'clock. I'm going to stop recording so we don't make these recordings too long. Okay. And I covered everything I wanted to cover, but if anybody has the extra time stuff, I'll hang around. But I want to stop the recording so it doesn't get too long. Okay.